Hi you guys. So in today's video, we are going to do a really basic black umbilical stump, um, one like this shown in the photos. And there are different styles of umbilical stumps where they're like dried and just about to fall off. I am going to do more videos on the other styles, but this is the one that we're going to do today. So for supplies, I have a belly plate here. And I also have burnt umber and black. And I also need thick medium. And you can use regular palette. I like mixing this on a flat glass palette a little bit better, just because I can see the translucency levels a little bit easier here. I also have a couple brushes. I have a number 20 liner and a number 2 filbert, which is really small. And I also just have a small disposable brush. I'm not sure if I'll use all of these, but I might use a few for shaping. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my thick medium. If you do not have thick medium, you can also use matte varnish. You can also use vinyl putty. So this is a little bit more than I need for this, but I just want you guys to be able to see it. So I'm putting my thick medium right there on the palette. And I'm just going to take a little bit of black here, about this much on a popsicle stick. You can just use this black if you want. I prefer to mix in a little bit of burnt umber because while in photos, the little umbilical stump looks like it's all black, but in person it does have a little bit of color dimension. And I'm just gonna get a little bit out, kind of a little bit of chunk. This mix you definitely want to be very, very opaque, which I know is pretty much the opposite of how we want it anywhere, anything for any other effects. So I'm just gonna put this in here and I'm gonna mix it in really well. I want it to be mostly black with just a little bit of those burnt umber tones in there. And this is pretty good. You could see it is pretty opaque here. And I'm just going to try to scoop that up and just kind of put it flat on there so that I can easily grab it. So we'll take this little disposable brush first. And I'm just going to scoop some up. You can see the thick medium makes it really, really thick. If you're using varnish, it might be a little bit thinner, kind of depending on what you're using. And it's almost like a milk blister. We're just kind of going to put it on here. And this is going to vary a little bit depending on the belly button shape. This belly button is more oblong, so I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit here. If you were using, say for instance, like Lucas by Cassie Brace has a perfectly round little belly button. If that was the case, you would just do a little round belly button. All right, so we have this on here. It's sticking up just a little bit the way that we want it to, but it looks pretty messy here. So I'm going to take first my Q-tip and I'm just kind of going to clean up the edges here. And you can change out your Q-tip if you need to when it starts getting wet, or not wet, when it starts getting, you know, paint where it's not cleaning it as well. And I think I'm going to get one more just to clean right here. All right. So that looks really good as far as the shape goes. Next thing I'm going to do, you can use thinner. I'm just going to use a little bit of Exodus Thinning oil. I'm just going to put a couple drops there on my palette. And sorry about that, guys. I just want to like slightly get my brush just barely wet. I don't want it like dripping. I just want it a tiny bit damp with the oil. And now, just like we do with milk blisters, I'm really just going to go in and smooth it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100% smooth. It would naturally, it's a scab. It's not, you know, a perfectly smooth little oblong shape. But I do want to just clean up any areas that are standing up too high or that look unnatural. And I'm going to spread this just a little bit that way. Okay, and that is pretty much perfect. I'm just going to clean my brush off really quickly. And you want to go around on the edges and see if there's anywhere that you need to clean up. I just do it with my brush with thinner. And you can do this at the beginning of your painting process. You can do this at the very end. I'm doing it on a blank belly plate because I'm not actually painting this. I'm just showing you guys how to do this one effect. And so that is it. You can make it smaller. I'm going to do one later. I'll show you some other styles. So I'm going to go ahead and bake this. I want to just take a plain white towel. Having it be white is really important. You don't want any dye transfer. And I'm just going to put this towel inside this belly plate before I bake it. This is really important. Anytime you're baking a belly plate, you want that support in there. Otherwise, if you just put your belly plate in the oven with no support, you'll have some cracking more than likely. Your belly plate can split. Because we used such thick medium, we're still going to bake this at 265. I usually would bake this with this thick probably for about 10 minutes if I'm using Genesis thick. But you'll want to use whatever the instructions for the medium you're using. If I was using iArt matte skin, I would do 15 minutes. So just follow those instructions, but you will need to bake it multiple times. Sorry, I just saw this one area I want to smooth. Okay, there we go. And it really is going to depend on exactly, you know, exactly how long it takes to cure. I usually bake mine on this effect. If it's the last thing that I do, I usually bake it about 4 times. If it's the first thing that I do, I'll usually bake it once and kind of feel it, and then maybe twice. And as long as it feels like soft cured on my to my fingers and it's not going to smear or smudge, I won't worry about doing those 4 bakes because I'm going to be baking it multiple times during painting. When you use thick medium, it's going to be shiny. You can do a matte varnish over it just like you normally would on the rest of the baby. All right, you guys, I hope that you found that helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.